This is the very last bit of Suetonius's Domitian. Nevertheless, Tarman, neither was he of inelegant sermon, and sometimes he was even, Etienne, of very notable sayings. For instance, he said, I would wish Vellum to be as formosous or as handsome, Tamquam, as Matthias seems to think he is for himself, Sibi. Et caput, and the head of a certain person, a cuistam, which had a variety in its hair colour, being just about red sub rutillum, it's a bit reddish, and it incanamed, so it had became greyish, it had turned into a bit greyish colour. These are the two colours of variety, red and grey. He dixited, he said, was snow, which had been perfuse am, I think that should be. Snow, which had been poured onto a bit of wine. Now, there's a bit here only in the lobe, in the lobe, it's not in the other one, so I'll paste it in with the beginning of 21. He would say that the condition or state of the principles of emperors is very miserable, in which having converted, having discovered in which that there had been conspiracy, them not believed unless they had been killed. And I can't find that anywhere else except from the Loeb. And now picking up from the Loeb library. Quotidian, so whenever there was otium, there was leisure, he would oblect about himself, he would enjoy himself with dice, even on non-holiday days, and matutinus oris, and in the early hours of the day. And he would lave about, he would wash in the day, and he would have his prandia, his lunch, to satiety, so he would eat an awful lot, his non-temor again, and hardly ever over dinner, besides Martianum malum, Martian apple, and a modest drink, potian cooler, in an ampule or a cup, he would consume, he would take. He would convivabator, he would feast or eat frequently and with a lot of largesse or big quantity, but often it was ended quickly, raptum, it was a quick meal. Certainly not beyond the occasion solus, not beyond the setting of the sun, nor that postia afterwards commiserator, he would have a drinking bout. Near madorum, for to the hour of somni, of sleep, nothing other than nil aliud quam, then he would walk about, deambulate, solus alone in a secret place, or away from others. 23. The populace, the people were indifferent, with him accusumed, with him dead. The soldiers, Tulit, bore this very seriously, and start him immediately, conatus est, tried to appellare him divum, to call him divine. They were prepared also to ulsciscor, to avenge him, except that they were defuescenting in, or the leaders were lacking. Our generals who would follow that. I think yesterday also called vel a preposition when it would say adverb or conjunction. So the daily dictionary word is commissor, commissarator. The carouse, reverie, make merry, or being drunk, the drunken bout. Could also be used for a festival procession. Anyway, back to the plot. He was of excessive libido. He assiduously or continuously concubited, was sleeping with women, velut as if this was a genus of this type of exercising, and he called this, he was vocabating it, clinopalum, bed wrestling. There was a farmer, a rumour, or the story goes, as he himself would develop it, he would pluck away the hairs of his concubines, and he would nature it, and he would sleep amongst very common prostitutes, vulgatissimus, superlative ones. The filium fatris, the daughter of his brother, in the accusative, who was still a virgin, offered in matrimony for himself. While he had refused this very pertinaciously, pertinently, because he was at the time being Divictus, or conquered by nuptials with Domitian, Domita. Not much afterwards, who had another one had conlocated, which is a word for being married to. He'd been placed in marriage to another. He corrupted her, seduced her, ultro, and indeed, even then, with Titus viving. Titus was living at the time. Ultro can mean of eternal court or even further. Soon, with her father and Vero and her husband, she was orbitem, she was widowed or bereft, most ardently and openly to adverbs. He delighted in her or loved her, and was even the cause of her mortis, it turned out, extiterate. Since she had conceived from him a child and was coacted or forced to abigere, drive it off or have an abortion. I get the feeling I just read this bit. So the people indifferently to his death, and the soldiers wanted to call him divine, but they were prepared to avenge him, but they were lacking leaders. Which indeed, a little after, fecit, they did, having demanded the slaughter of the people of the auctors behind this, the people who were behind the death, to the punishment of these people. Very pertinently, very persistently, they demanded that the authors of these slaughters be killed. Contra, on the other hand, the Senate, adiout, to such an extent, while Letatus were happy, that curtatim, they contested or rushed to replete the curia, to fill up the curia, the Senate House, and they didn't temper themselves, Quin, from, of his death, the most contumelious, insulting, and most bitter types of acclamation, of yelling outs, and they lacerated the dead emperor with these insults. Even scalars, ladders, they inferred, they brought in, and the shields and images of him, coram openly and publicly, they detracted, they drew down, and on the same ground ordered it to be afflicted or crashed against the ground or beat up on the ground. Novissime, last of all, looks like this is a gerund of must, all the titles, ubiqui everywhere, had to be erased and abolished all memory of him. They decided, they discernerated. Porcos menses. A few months before which he was killed, antiquam, Cornex, a crow, spoke on the Capitoline, and it said something in Greek. What the hell does that mean? Blah blah blah. All will be well. And it's not lacking that can be interpreted in this sort of showing and ostentandum. The showing of it is thus: Nupa, recently a cornex, a crow, sat on the Tarpeian Rock coal mine, the top of the Tarpeian Rock. It was not able to say it is well, and dixited erit, it will be well. Himself, even Domitian, Pharaoh, they say, somnicid, had dreamed a gibam, it's like a lump, a curved lump, for himself, pone curvicum, on the back of his neck, and it was golden, was innate and was born or made. And for certain, Habwisi, he considered this, that post himself, things would be betorium, would be better. This was a portend of a happier time for the state of the Republic. Just as in Sanae clearly, in a brief amount of time, it happened by the abstintenia, that's more like self-control and the moderation of the insequentium of the following emperors. And that's it. There's that bit that I pasted earlier.